not really knowing that she would always be there based on her hair color, the kind of shirt she had on. It's been something like 3 years, I guess. I went through the first few days when I thought it looked kind of cool, rugged, paper towel good looks. Like I woke up like that every day. I can remember waking up and the looks that I got. Nobody ever made it out. Nobody ever made me out to be noticeable or even memorable. But people remember things, I suppose. After that, I started to get the itches. It was manageable at first. But after a while, it became almost unbearable. Until it finally came in full, hiding my face from my friends, making me the permanent stranger, a persona of eyes, nose, and lips. They eventually would disappear too. Eyes and nose, that's all anyone would ever really see of me. People remember these things, I suppose. Looking back, it almost seems foolish, the way I used to groom myself every day. It became a kind of obsession, a lifestyle obsession, shaving whenever I felt I needed it. Sometimes 3 times a day, until it became calming. It was soothing knowing that all I needed to make that one part of me remain the most noticeable. Aloes and moisturizers, shave gels and hydrosol, products with rose water and peppermint oil, green tea extract and chamomile. Things I'd never heard of before, but things that kept me from looking like a real lunatic, constantly peeling away layers of skin. A vain effort, really. I could never really get rid of the scarring or redness. When I first started shaving at 12 or 13 maybe, I didn't have the Rock Willie and father-son, this is how you shave speech. Nobody but a grandmother telling me how to look and behave like a man. The first time, I had to use soap. Not the fruity smelling ladies' orgasm soap like now. This was soap that smelled like medicine, long before the Irish would eventually put their stamp on it. No, this stuff was harsh. It burned to use because the lye content was so high and it left your face feeling like every other second you were getting slapped. Later on, I learned all about the skin softeners and lavender, the things I've grown to love, and love about my face. That's all gone now. If I wanted to shave now, I'd be back to that same old soap. I'd be happy with Barbasol. I don't even use gel anymore. Those first few years of razzing my face left me red all the time. Folliculitis it's called. Any doctor would tell you to stop shaving immediately. Not me. I had to look how the old lady told me. She used to tell me that beards were for vagrants and the devil. And I didn't want to look like either one of those, not in her eyes or anybody else's. So after months of persistent shaving and already infected skin, I developed patches of severe redness, like a visible fire on my neck and cheeks. Any doctor at this point would tell you to wrap a warm wet towel on your face a few times a day to reduce the inflammation and itching. It really all makes sense now. It was really tough for me, no harder than now. I mean, I'll manage. I would like to get my face back though, but I can't. After that first bout of facial denigration is when I discovered product, the cooling aftershaves and the like. Once again, I was back in the habit, and Grandma always made a point to commend me on my clean looks. Always trying to rub my cheeks and pinch my chin. It made me feel good that she noticed, even if nobody else did. I would have dates and make extra sure that I was extra smooth. I didn't want to scrape anybody. I had friends with sideburns at this point. They were in, and they bragged all about them. They carried combs for them. They had strange names for them like thigh buffers and the ticklers and the international datelines. People remember things like that, I suppose. I couldn't stand the sight of these things. Grandma told me that the devil had sideburns, and so did the Confederates. She meant well. She was just looking out for me, I suppose. When I moved into my first apartment, the only boxes I had to move were from Kiehl's. It was a bit nerve-wracking living on my own for the first time. No one to tend for me except for myself. No grandma to warn me of the rest of the world. The first night, I sat alone with the straight razor and strop. There were gifts and more for show, I suppose. I don't think it was ever intended that I should use them. I was alone and afraid and sat passing the blade back and forth on the leather. I listened to the sound of it, the sleek metallic sound of it. It had a wet quality, and after a while, an aroma of tanned hide and sharpness. That night, I didn't use it. I didn't shave. I had no one to tell me that I had to. Grandma wasn't there anymore. This little mirror probably wouldn't do me much good now that I think about it. I could always work without looking at myself. We've all done this 1,000 times before, although it has been a while since the last time. I am still new to this. I got better, I suppose. The urge to groom subsided when I moved out. Of course, I kept myself in tip-top facial shape. I still preened and primped. I was always ready for flight. My feathers always well prepared for the leap. But then the news. Grandmother had died. She was old and all, but her death wasn't natural. Not by any means. After I had left her alone, she had been attacked by someone from the neighborhood, or so I'm told. People remember these things, I suppose. After her funeral, I started asking questions. I got plenty of answers. Only needed one right one. The hive mind memory works in such amazing ways, but it only really takes that one working bee to give up the dance that leads you to the truth. It left me a wreck for quite some time. I worked myself ragged and shaved myself sore again. Those old scars never go away, I suppose. I couldn't have myself looking like that, all red and dried, calloused and embittered. I closed myself off, became a shut-in, stopped going to work, stopped everything. Eventually it began growing out. Growing it out past the awkwardness, the itchiness, the discomfort. I couldn't have my face be shown. After the third week, I went and changed my life forever. Well, I got my revenge. Grandmother can rest in peace. I thought I looked so different. I thought I would have been a brand new face, a woolly avenger doing right. But people remember things, like I said. Somebody had seen me with a towel and that blade, my gift. I used that same towel I used to cure myself, my face. It was the same towel I used to, well, I'm sure you get the idea. Amongst the jury, my peers, finally clean-shaven again, they knew who I was. I hadn't fooled anybody. I was the fresh-faced devil who was once the bearded devil I'd been warned about. I let myself be consumed by what I thought was the right way, a confederate. I'd bared my soul when I covered my face. I became what my grandmother had always warned me about. The judge asked me if I had anything to say on my behalf before sentencing. I had nothing to say except that I was sorry. It was meant for her, but people remember things differently, I suppose. So this is how it's going to be. This is now who I am. Bitter, imprisoned, scarred, bearded, for the rest of my life, I suppose.